To the U.S. now, President Joe Biden laid out to Chinese leader Xi Jinping the consequences of any backing for Russia in its war against Ukraine, according to the White House, as Beijing showed no sign of joining Western condemnation of the invasion. The comments also came during a nearly 2-hour phone call between the leaders of the world's two largest economies, focusing on Ukraine, where China's close ally Russia is in the fourth week of a bloody assault. Take a look.
The president detailed, what the implications and consequences would be if China provides material support to Russia as it conducts brutal attacks against Ukrainian cities and civilians. And obviously that is something we will be watching and the world will be watching.
So that concern hasn't gone away following the call?
Obviously actions are a key part of what we'll be watching. The majority of this call, as I think you heard, you saw in the readout and you heard, I think, on the call we just did, but was focused on Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. The president spent the vast majority of the nearly 2 hours was spent with the president outlining the views of the United States and our allies and partners on this crisis, including a detailed overview of efforts to prevent and then respond to the invasion, how we got here, steps we've taken, where we've gone and why. Movement of China to align with Russia or to the movement of them to align with Russia or their proximity of moving closer together is certainly of great concern to us, as we have expressed, and we are not the only country that has expressed that concern, including many other members of the G7 have expressed exactly that concern. So this is part of the discussion. It has been an ongoing part of the discussion. Expect it certainly would be when the president goes to Europe next week. China has to make a decision for themselves about where they want to stand and how they want the history books to look at them and view their actions. That is a decision for President Xi and the Chinese to make.
However, there was no mention of direct criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin, and a readout from the Chinese Foreign Ministry laid some responsibility for Russia's invasion of its neighbor to the west. With the Chinese leader refusing to condemn Putin, Washington fears Beijing could go further, delivering financial and military support to Russia and transforming an already explosive transatlantic standoff into a global dispute. If that were to happen, not only could China help Russia to weather sanctions and continue the war, but Western governments would face the painful decision of how to strike back at the world's second biggest economy, likely prompting turmoil on international markets. Washington is racing to ward off that crisis, both by warning of fallout for China and appealing to President Xi's ambitions to be a world leader.